Welcome to the FeelWell Podcast, where leadership is lived through the integration of mind, body, and business. I'm Dr. DeCicco, and today I'm joined by Jeff Parker, relationship and men's coach and author of Win Together. Jeff's work is centered around helping couples move through the conversations that have kept them stuck for years, blending modern psychology, nervous system regulation, emotional attunement, and spiritual depth. What really stands out is his perspective that communication isn't just about what we say, it's a nervous system event first, and that shift alone changes everything in how we approach conflict, connection, and partnership. He's worked extensively with high performing individuals, founders, and couples to help them return to alignment, not by avoiding conflict, but learning how to move through it together. Thank you so much for joining us, Jeff. Really excited to have this conversation with you. So you've done a lot of deep work with both men and couples. What led you into this space?
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, Dr. Lauren. It's very exciting to be here. And I guess the work just called me. I saw the issues in the world that mattered to me a lot. And I listened to Gandhi and said, I'm going to be the change I want to see in the world. So I started my healing journey, and that was the path of relationship and healing my shadows and becoming a stronger, more evolved man, going through initiations and mentorship and getting in touch with my emotions, which a lot of men in society don't do. I started holding spaces for other men to do the same. And I realized that relationships were really the big gold mine that everybody's looking for, bringing harmony into their lives. And it's sometimes the toughest for people because relationship is a mirror, it's a spiritual journey, and it can expose the hard parts of ourselves to look at. And so relationship is something that we just haven't really been taught how to do well whenever it's hard. We haven't been taught how to do the work together or how to move through conflicts and difficult conversations. So I just leaned into this work and started seeing beautiful relationships flourish and healing where there was hurt, and just continued to lean in.
So where did you have a particular moment in your healing journey where your understanding of communication fundamentally shifted? Because you said it's not really about what we say, or it's more about almost our connection between the people and their how we're communicating. So was something in particular what shifted that for you?
You're right. It's all about the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we could call it the nervous system. I like to say two people, one nervous system in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because the same information that comes into a dysregulated nervous system is received way different than it is whenever it's received with regulation, with attunement between two people. And that starts way before the conversation. And where did it start? I used to be terrible at this. I was an attorney for 13 years, and I thought winning in relationship meant winning the battle. And that's what I was trained to do, and everybody else in that field. But I realized that my personal relationships were all failing from bringing that attitude in, from having sort of a me first look at how people were treating me or what I was receiving in relationships. So that I realized that wasn't working, and started leaning in to other people's narratives besides mine and listening to their experience of me. And that was medicine for my soul that made all the difference.
How do you get these nervous systems to speak to one another?
The word is safety.
Mm-hmm.
One of the number one words in this work. Um, One of the big challenges for men sometimes too. Well, how do I create the safety? And so it does start with um, being honoring your word helps out a lot. Speaking truthfully, creating containers where you can receive the difficult truths and perspectives in the relationship. A lot of times it starts with eye contact. I work with so many couples, and I learn a lot immediately by how willing or uncomfortable they are whenever I have them be exposed in eye contact with their partner for a few minutes.
Well, something interesting about the nervous system is if we are dysregulated, we tend to avoid eye contact. So we almost have to feel safe and regulated to be able to have direct eye contact with people or engage with people. Do you notice that as far as the nervous system work, do you try to focus on one person in the couple becoming regulated so that they can then co-regulate, or do you try to build regulation both of them and then bring them together? Like, what is your approach with the nervous system regulation?
It's both. It can't be one or the other. Um, Both skills need to be taught. And in my view of relationship and doing the work, if both partners take responsibility
Mm-hmm.
for both people's healing, not just your own, which we should take responsibility for, but we get invested in our partner's healing too, then it's a perspective shift that allows the attention to go to whoever's dysregulated.
Mm-hmm.
And in my private work, where I get to watch couples for a really long time, give them enough space that therapy doesn't really provide to really see what's deep, we can get really curious about the dysregulation that occurs and find out what's the story behind it.
Right.
Where did
There's
this
always a story.
where did this start in childhood? And then there's a lot of techniques to go and bring in the breath of life, bring in safe touch, bring in affirmational talk. So these things can be done by one person for themselves. And sometimes that's really helpful to process triggering situations and then come back to
Mm-hmm.
have a healthy management of them with your partner. But also, so much healing can be done with the partner being present in the expansion of the nervous system's ability to sit with uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah, I think that truly we can only process feelings and emotions in a regulated state. If we're stuck in survival, then it's really hard to process those things. And I've noticed when I've had a conversation with somebody who's dysregulated versus somebody who's regulated, or that same person, dysregulated or regulated, the conversation is very different, or the
Completely.
reality or the perspective is very, very different. So, a lot, I think, are you noticing that a lot of relationships that keep going in circles and repeating the same patterns are really truly because they're dysregulated? So they're not able to process or see things clearly because they're just stuck in that survival mode.
100%. We don't even realize it because we're so overstimulated by society, how much we're in states of arousal. And now the polyvagal
Mm-hmm.
model and theory um, really aligns with what you said, where, okay, let's do all of the work in regulation. So if you're dysregulated, go get regulated and then come back. I go a little bit deeper because I think some work can be done in these in between states to expand the nervous system's capacity.
Mm-hmm.
I think some states of arousal can still, while there's charge, you can still do healing and have healthy conversations. So having a blanket rule of only in full
Insane state.
regulation
Yeah.
can sometimes be one of these like weapons that couples can use to kind of prevent
Right.
the conversation, but there is an area there where they can kind of push and regulate together. I think for me, a big thing is, do you still have access to choice? Like anger can be okay. Anger is usually pointing to a deeper injustice or something
Mm-hmm.
that is going on inside that should be looked at. But then what we do with that anger, we might need to set boundaries around and the
Yeah, I
conversation.
think obviously it depends on someone's capacity to regulate or go from dysregulated to regulate. But people that have practiced it more have more flexibility, almost pendulating in a sense, like into a stressor,
Mhm.
is what I think really changes their relationship with that trigger or stressor and their patterns in survival as well. And doing it with the partner, I think there's a misconception that I can't be in a relationship or I shouldn't be in a relationship because I have so much work to do on
Mm.
myself or I need to heal myself first. But I think there's so much more healing that happens within relationships, even friendships and things like that. But I know a lot of people that avoid relationships altogether because they're protecting themselves so much from it.
We live in Miami and both know so many of the same people. I'm sure it's a very common thing, and it makes sense. It seems admirable in some ways. Like, okay, I'm
Right?
gonna
Like,
go
I'm
take
not healed enough.
res-
I have no business being in a relationship with somebody.
right. I'm gonna go heal and max out, and then I'm gonna meet the best version
Mm-hmm.
of somebody that I can meet because I'm the best version of me. And I do think people should do some of their own work whenever they're single and prepare
Mm-hmm.
themselves for a relationship, but nothing truly prepares you for a relationship,
No.
perhaps other than getting a book like I've created here, because when you do meet that person and you start making commitments, there at first there is, you know, a lot of the honeymoon projection you have upon the other person, you know, positive, and it's real easy to be attracted to that. But then at some point reality sets in, and the truth is that you are two different people with totally different perspectives, totally different parental modeling, wounding, traumas, beliefs about love, self-worth issues, and those worlds are going to collide a little bit. So if you don't have tools to manage that when it happens, you're lost. But that is where the real work in growing closer to God or just evolving happens, and in my belief, which is through the mirror relationship.
So I've seen a lot of talk on social media, which I think a lot of people are using social media as their relationship guides, single or in relationships.
Yeah.
What do you feel about these perspectives of like masculine and healthy masculinity, or like the man is the one that needs to hold the space or be safe or create that security for the woman? Like, where does that have validity to it, and where does it come down to like we're all just humans that all need safety and security or love and
Mm-hmm.
connection, instead of being so like streamlined into this is the man's role and this is the woman's? Like, where do you fall into that?
Awesome question. Awesome question.
Like,
No,
I
I
think
mean,
it's messing up the world of our
yeah,
perspective
yeah. I
on
mean, well, it's
relationships.
we're almost like moving, swinging in one direction, overcorrecting in another, overcorrecting again, and yeah, Instagram memes affect us all, and we get this idea of certain things,
Especially if
but
we
then
believe it already a little bit. We're like,
mhm,
yes, yes, they're saying what I've been thinking this whole
totally, yeah,
time.
men need to do this, yeah,
Right. And I
and
feel like there's a huge divide now between
mhm.
men and women because of this.
We are in a really interesting time, and this is why I've really leaned into this work, and learning with it. We do have our own inner masculine and feminine, and we need to learn how to
Right.
balance those and resource both. People wouldn't be very functional if they were just in one. If men were only in the masculine energy, it's just war until death. If women were just in their feminine energy, it's just a big ocean of flow and no
Right.
containment. So then we have the conflation a lot of times within that work of masculine and feminine with gender roles in society and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So, for instance, cooking dinner, cleaning the house, is that masculine or feminine energy?
Those are just adult responsibilities. But
I
they're
agree.
doing, yeah,
I
I would
agree.
say it's
It's
more
actually a masculine
doing
energy
masculine,
thing.
yes.
But many people who kind of talk about this work, because we've inherited patriarchal
Right.
structures from, you know, the 40s and the 50s from our grandparents' era, would say that, oh, those are tasks for the
A
woman,
woman is, yeah.
and the men are going to go out and make money. But the paradigms are all changing because we have empowered women. We took the
Mm-hmm.
boot off of women's neck. Thank God for feminism in that way. And we're also trying to figure out now, what does that mean for men whenever salary and provision is not enough, and they're not even doing all of that because a lot of times their partners are, and there's more of a shifting need for men to be emotionally attuned, emotionally available,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally safe. So I think it starts with all of us, and that's why I love having these spaces for men to practice holding space, to be vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of men have a hard time figuring out how to do that with their partner and still feel masculine.
Yeah. I I've noticed in the dating world, a lot of people show up with behaviors of what it looks like to be so a take charge and hold space for you and this and that. But really, it's like not their character. Through experiences, I start to see like, oh, they're not just because they have like made plans or taken charge or consistent, they're not kind, they're not considerate, they're not whatever. So I feel like those are actually more of the important traits when it comes to relationships, not just like the doing or behavior. It's really the underlying character of who they are. So I don't know if you've seen a lot of that showing up in your couples.
Well, straight up, when you really poll or talk to most women who are not in their 20s, that's what they say they want in a man. Those are the masculine traits they want in a partner. The emotional attunement, the
Right. Like,
character,
I don't really care if you open the car door for me, but if
right?
you're actually rude or whatever, it just because you did a behavior that is viewed by society as a masculine or secure
Mhm.
whatever doesn't make your character that. So,
100%. And look, I grew up in the South and I opened doors for women. I'm always paying on the first date. I'm in a partnership
mhm.
right now. And I think a lot of those traits are good to have.
Not complaining about them, but
Yeah. And especially understanding a lot of the situation. Women spend so much time on their clothes, their appearance, their make all the things that attract men to them, and they
mhm.
have options with their time and salaries are lower. There's just many reasons for men to be chivalrous like that. But when you get into a deeper partnership, um, some of these things start to yield way. They're not the tools that work for long lasting partnership. And
Right.
what matters there is less specific roles and more on the negotiated relationship. Who are these two individual people and what do they need for themselves? What do they need from each other? Who are they? Where are they on their path of growth? Where are they
Mhm.
in business and life? What are the compromises that each other are making for the union and for each other as they're growing? So a lot of those old models fail, but the manosphere, which I'm really critical of right now. I mean, I have been for quite a while, but they hook men because some of it on the face of it sounds like empowerment, that sounds
Mhm.
beneficial. Okay, go get stronger, learn how to make more money, get more fit, get resourced to be a better human citizen, more successful person in life, and be able to provide for your partner and stuff like that. But many of them just get lost in the pursuit of that and miss out on all of these
Mhm.
how to actually attune to women instead of how to manipulate her into a sexual relationship or control
Yeah.
power dynamics.
Yeah.
So,
And I think really deep down, it's the attunement to yourself in order to be able to attune to others. But
which brings us back
most
to that
people,
inner masculine and inner feminine.
yeah.
I feel like when men can get in touch with that inner feminine, and I mean the data shows it, and this is maybe new in the United States, but in the eastern parts of the world, this has been known for a long time. I mean, it's all in the principles of Vedanta, for instance, in India. But when men can get in touch with their inner feminine, the stillness, the emotion, when they can start learning how to name their emotions, how to feel them without suppressing them, then they can start to understand women.
Mhm.
And when they can do that, then they can hold better space. It starts with being able to hold space for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so this has all been incredible, but we are going to transition into what we call the FeelWell standards. So this is where we go through a rapid round of questions so you can show us how you live and perform as a standard. So I'm going to shoot these off to you and you just answer with whatever comes first. Prayer, meditation,
Woo! How is that an either or? Meditation,
discipline or intuition,
intuition,
lead or delegate,
lead,
force or flow,
flow,
achievement or alignment.
alignment.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was fun. Prayer meditation, so tough, that question.
Well, I think it's very blended for most people.